This is a video to introduce you to the basics of LbQ, what it offers, how you can run a task, and what you learn as you run that task and what you can learn after you've run that task. So this is my homepage, my LbQ, showing the different things that are on offer from LbQ. As you can see, we've got primary subjects, English, Maths, Primary Science, Geography and History, and then secondary subjects, English, Maths, Biology, Chemistry and Physics. I'm going to use the secondary maths when I'm talking about things, just simply because that's what I am familiar with. Once you've chosen your subject, simply by clicking on it, you then see all the different question sets that are available. They're split into topics, so it's a case of then choosing a topic. So for example, if I'm teaching fractions at the moment, I might have come to the end of a unit on fractions and decide I'd like to look at a fractions topic review. Once I've decided on a question set and chosen it like this, you can see down the right that I can look at the questions that are in that question set. So they start with understanding, then fluency getting more difficult, moving into reasoning and problem solving. I'm going to talk in another video about how you can change the question set and adapt it, but this is just imagining at the moment that I'm happy with the question set exactly as it is, which I often am, and going ahead and using it. Having decided my task, I can then plan to do it at some time in the future or run it straight away. So if the class was now in front of me, I could simply click on Start and plan to run that task straight away. Usually though, I'm looking in advance for a task and deciding what I'm going to use at a time in the future, so I want to plan. And once I click on Plan, the calendar comes up and I can just pop it into my calendar. Let's put it into my calendar for today. So once I've done that, it's there and I can just close the calendar. Now when I go to my home page, my LbQ, you'll see that for today, I have an item in my calendar here, the fractions topic review, that task I've just chosen. And when I'm ready to start it with my class, I can just click on Start. I need to choose an end time that I want that task to finish at the end of the lesson, so I do that simply using the drop-down menu and then say OK. You then have the option to put your different classes in, so that you can simply choose and keep the results organised. It means that when you look at results for a class, you can filter for just that class and look at all their results over a period of time. So I choose the class that I'm running it with and say Start. That's then the information that you need to give to your class. They need this code in order to enter the lesson and to work on the task. So once they've entered that code and they start working on the task, as they work through the questions, this is what you see next. You end up with a grid like this that starts to be populated, a nice matrix. As you can see down here, we've got pupils with numbers, the number that they've joined. At the top of that, where it says name, there's a little icon of a person with a question mark. If you click on that, which I'm not going to do for data protection reasons, if you click on that, it will then show you the pupils' names. So normally, I would be looking at my screen with the pupils' names in front of me so that I know whose results these are. Then you can see those different sections of questions and the question numbers. I can see very quickly that question 1 was generally well done, simply because of the green squares. A green blob means that they got the question right first time. The amber coloured squares mean that they've got it right, but it took a number of attempts, and the number in the square is how many attempts it took. So we can see pupil 24 had 2 attempts at question 1, got it right the second time, whereas pupil 21 had to have 4 attempts in order to get it correct. So this matrix is the thing I am usually looking at whilst pupils are working on the task. As they're working, I can then see if they start to struggle with a question. So the question number itself is coloured as to how the class are dealing with it. Question 6 looks to be a problem. In this situation, I would press pause. Let me show you where the pause button is. Once that task is running, just at the top here, there is a pause button next to Add Task. So you can pause the class. At that point, they then can't do anything on their screen. It's amazing. You press pause, silence falls, and they all look at you waiting for what's going to come next. So once you've pressed pause, you can then view the question, display the question on your whiteboard using your projector, however you want to do that in your lesson, and then talk through that question with your class. So you can write on this, annotate it, talk about it, like so, get some ideas from them, and then once you're happy that they're okay, release that pause and let them go again. So that's how I use that matrix. I'd be stopping at regular intervals when I see a class struggling with a question. I often wait until there's enough of them reaching a point, so it might be around now that I'd be intervening with question 13 because I can see it's causing a problem. So again, I press pause, view question, and we can have a chat about it before I let them carry on. If I see that it's just a particular pupil struggling with something, if I can see one pupil getting a large red square, then I will go and talk to that pupil individually. So again, that's another way of intervening in the lesson. It might be that you want a bit of an insight into what's going wrong. So what you can do, rather than viewing question, you can view responses. And where the magnifying glasses are, if you just click the tick, it will show you what the correct answer should be, the most common wrong answers, and what individual pupils have put. So again, if there's someone particularly who's struggling, you might be able to look at that information and give them a hint, rather than having to spend too much time with them. And equally, if you look at that for the whole class, you can see what the common error is before you go through it. I hope that's helpful there. So that's how I use the matrix when I'm in the lesson. After the lesson, you then get a full set of results saved. So this is a full set of results for a task that I have run with a class. I can look at this after the lesson to see the questions that would prove to be particularly difficult. And I can see in the first section of understanding, question 6 was quite difficult. I can see that then section 2, really the fluency section, was well done by most pupils. Pupil 24 struggled a little bit more. I'd like to know who they are and what they struggled with. And again, I could just say, oh, you struggled with that one a lot there. Let's have a look. And I can show their responses and have a look at what went on for that particular pupil. So this is just for pupil 24. I can look at all their results and everything they've put in. I also have a look at the blue questions, and I often use these during lessons as well as a bit of a plenary at the end, because these are worded responses. And I like to view the responses and with pupils talk about them and say which of these is a good answer. So I might click on one to highlight it, and we could look at it on the board together and discuss whether this is a good answer to that question, or whether perhaps that's a better answer, or whether perhaps the best answer we could give would be something like this. So after a lesson, I do come back to the grid and I have a look at it, and I think about which questions they've struggled with, where I need to go next in my teaching, what are the things I need to pick up on, and what equally are the things that they're really confident with and I don't need to spend more time on. I hope that's been a useful insight into how to set up and run a question set, how to look at information during a lesson, and what to do with it after the lesson.